Hey HCDA and welcome back to Dune Spice Wars. Last time we took a huge chunk out of the Harkonnen on the right side of the map, and honestly I'm inclined to leave it at that. I mean, we crippled them quite a bit by taking their spice facility. I have no doubt they will be going for either this one or this one soon. But that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4 against their 1, so they shouldn't be too much of a threat. Now, the smugglers and the Atreides, on the other hand, both have at least 2 of them, and they can get the third. At least the smugglers should be able to get the third pretty easily. And they will probably be coming from my facility over here pretty soon. So we need to make sure we don't lose our own zones while we're fighting the Harkonnen over here, and because 2 of them are actually over here, this is going to be a problem sooner or later. On top of that, the Polar Sink is a special region that not only gives you 500 hegemony, it also gives you a water extractor option to build, and water is one of the ways we can actually get to a hegemony victory as well. I'm not entirely sure if I actually want to go for a hegemony victory at this point, but it is actually viable for the Fremen because you can easily farm water. And yeah, I don't know. Let's just kind of nibble here on the Harkonnen a little bit and then see where we can get to if we just take a couple of strategic zones here and there. Now, we just completed the Arrakis secrets research, which means we can now have more crew in our harvesting teams, and of course that is something that we definitely want to go and do. So for example, this new one here can now actually fit 3 crew, assuming of course we have enough manpower to actually put them in the harvesting teams. This will give us a huge boost to our production. As you can see, we're up to 150 spice production, so pretty awesome. Let's go kill some Harkonnen. So I took the region over here and I'm reinstalling my economy, and while I was doing that, I think the smugglers read my mind and actually took control of this zone over here. So I think we'll just have to nip that in the bud and send our army straight over there to capture that zone, because we can't stand for that. We really want this polar zone and we're gonna have to fight for it most likely. So we captured the pole, and I'm instantly starting to reinforce it with some missile turrets, etc. The missile turrets are actually really interesting because they are in a strategic position that can actually cover several of these things. Meanwhile, I'm also working on my research, which now should allow me to field a couple of more units on the map. So definitely going to make use of that. And other than that, let's see. Well, as expected, the Harkonnen are getting some more spice again, but nothing too much to worry about. The Atreides are expanding all over the place, so we're really going to have to nip this in the butt and fight a little back, especially considering they're now moving into our territory next door. I actually was about to take this village as well when we received a bit of pushback from the smuggler, so I didn't actually go all the way through with that. We might want to reconsider that as soon as we have some of these things up and running. Now, actually, I'm gonna put down a military base here as well, because this is in a very strategic position, so should be able to defend all of the surrounding regions. Now, meanwhile, I was actually able to build a special building on top of this siege as well, which now is buffing our spice production here with 20%. And this actually should stack with the spice stockpile, so we now have 40% spice production in both of these areas. Now, you can actually build several more of these. Most of these buildings on the sieges actually either give you a flat bonus or give you a bonus that depends on the amount of neutral villages around it. So for most of them, it's not going to be all of that interesting, because a couple of them are actually either in our zone or in the zone of, for example, the smugglers over here. But these ones here over here are actually interesting, so we could look into that and see if we can get a buff out of that. But they are quite expensive. We are producing especially plascrete now at a very high rate, so it's not something we should worry about. But yeah, it's definitely not free either. Now, I think I'm gonna go and have my army kind of rest for a second, and there's also a few new units coming in. And once we have all of them set up again, we are going to push back on the Atreides. Well, this part of the game is a little bit annoying sometimes, because right now every time I move out of this region, the smugglers move right back in. And well, I'm using all my thumpers to get around at the moment, so this is also why I'm currently trying to research Well, I'm gonna finish this one. This will give me a huge boost to my spice production, and also give me another slot to build buildings in every single of my villages close to one of those sieges, which is quite a few. And after that, I'm going to go straight for this, because this will double the amount of thumpers I'll have. And to be honest, right now I really do need them in order to make sure I don't get overwhelmed on one side or another of my territory. Now, actually, the AI over here is actually doing a pretty good job. It's the siege units from one of the sieges over all the way up here, I believe, even. That's actually doing a pretty good job at recapturing this village from the Atreides. So go them. Now, as it turns out, having all these allies is really useful at this moment, because like I'm stretching myself trying to defend everything, there's actually random units attacking the Harkonnen at the moment, and they're about to take out this spice field. So I don't think we have to worry about the Harkonnen anytime soon. We do need to make sure we don't have our units kill themselves, and there we go, they just did exactly that. So let's make sure we replace some Vatican, and honestly we might actually want to hop over here, and we definitely want to replace our units over here so we can defend ourselves. We could actually go and we probably need to go and defend over there. But meanwhile, you guys could actually go help out this random village over here so the Atreides don't take it once again. Meanwhile, I do need to make sure my new units are actually reaching my bases, so let's do that. And yeah, we should not be having too much trouble defending, defending this base actually, rather than having the Atreides take it. There we go. Let's move back. We are actually able to leave this as a neutral zone. We don't necessarily want this area, although there's hegemony there, so that could be interesting. But let's take that when we actually need to. I still want to make sure we keep the Atreides and the smugglers under control. The Atreides just took another zone over here, so that's a little bit unfortunate. We might actually be able to take this zone back. We are definitely going to need the rest of our units for that in order to do that, though. So let's make sure we have our units come and join us. Now, just in case I decide to go for a hegemony factory, I'm actually going to build some craft workshops in a couple of the places that I can, which needs to be places with these rare elementals. We have another space over here. We're actually not defending this at all, but I think we'll be fine. And let's put a few of those like there. Now, do I have any other zones with that? I think we had one over here, didn't we? Yep, we do. And, well, we're actually out of resources now because this apparently costs, oh, it's only 128, but we'll build that in a moment. Now, the Harkonnen are actually attacking this zone over here, and to be honest, I'm going to help them conquer this village, but rather than conquering it, we're just going to take it instead. And that's because this is a spice field, so obviously we want that. They are really quick at actually capturing this though, so we are definitely going to see if we can rush there and beat them to it, and if not, well, we'll just have to push back and take it anyway. Well, I think it's safe to say the Harkonnen are in some trouble, because apparently they are being attacked by the Landsraad, and that's what happens when you can't pay your spice dues, people, so make sure you do. So while I'm doing a bit of back and forth between all the different factions, this actually popped up, and this means that if this passes on, in this case, the House of Atreides, the main base will actually take 2 times the amount of damage it would normally take, and it also cannot attack. Now, considering I have all this influence stocked up, I'm just going to go all in on this. And, oh, apparently I had all in on that as well, so let's take that one out. Don't necessarily care too much about who gets this. We might as well just say, hey, let's give it to Atreides. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to see if we can get this to pass. That will make their main base very vulnerable. And as you can see right now, we actually have quite a bit of an army stocked up. If we can get that working like we wanted to, then we can basically just push straight through here. I'm about to capture this area over here because, well, I was in the neighborhood anyway. They were attacking this, so I figured, hey, why not just push through and see if we can take this one. So we're going to have this one, and then with this it will be a nice little base to go and attack the main quarters. Well, and as you can see, working like intended. That takes care of the Atreides, and as you can see, all the zones around us now have turned back to neutral state. So that's really good. That also means we are now basically down to having to deal with the smugglers, although the Harkonnen are kind of annoying every now and then. They do have some spies once again, and they are attacking random villages. But all in all, we are in a pretty good shape. If we can take care of these smugglers, who now have 1, 2, 3, 4 spice fields as well, so that is a problem, then we should be able to basically win us the game. Meanwhile, we're going pretty well towards the 30k hegemony, which we can also use to win the game rather than just destroying everyone. So all in all, I think we're in a pretty good shape. So this is interesting. The next vote is actually for the Dune governorship, and I can vote for myself. I actually thought I wasn't able to do this, but I now have enough regions, and I have the alliances that I need to in order to be able to be selected. And to be honest, I don't think anyone else is at this point, and the House Atreides was actually, but they're dead, so I'm not entirely sure why you can still vote for them. I mean, they're not in the game anymore, but hey, I'll vote for myself, and as you can see, I don't think the Atreides actually get to vote still. Nope, they're gone. Just the Harkonnen, the smugglers, and the minor houses. Now, I'm actually also going to vote for the smugglers to lose 30% military power, because if we get that to pass, then we can pretty much push them off the map, because right now I have a huge army, and if they are having a 30% lower military count, then on top of the fact that I already completed several buildings in my home, which gives me, well, mainly this one gives me 20% extra power. And having 3 of these buildings and having the bazaar in the 3 sets doubling the bonus also means I get 4 additional armor to all my military units. So basically my defense is really good now, my offense is really good now. Yeah, we have a lot of things going for us, so all we need to do now is actually push back, well, probably the smugglers from these 2 spice fields, and then we have pretty much all the spice on the map, with the exception of I think 1 or 2 down here, and there's one that's being controlled by the Harkonnen. But other than that, everything else is ours, and then we can pretty much decide how we want to win the game. Either just push everyone else off the map, or go for the hegemony victory, because right now that's very doable. We're already at 19k, and there is actually a special type of mission that you can select. That's the Coam share. It costs 10k Solari, but we have that. I mean, we can do this 4 times. And that's actually going to give us 2k hegemony. That would put us at 21k. It's of course nowhere near 30k just yet, but we're also producing quite a lot along the way right now. So we actually get a lot of bonus from actually paying our spice tax. And the workshops are now also doing their job. So I built a couple of those, and as you can see, we have over 1000 hegemony from the workshops. So I would say working like a tenant there as well. Pretty good, and yeah, let's see where this will let us end up. Alright, so we are now the official governors of Dune, and that means that in 60 days you will automatically win the game. There's a convenient timer for that as well, and it means that we have about half an hour to play until we win the game, assuming that we are still the governor by then. There is actually a specific type of event that you can have, where you can decide, well, to make someone else governor, or to kick out at least the current existing governor. But that's a relatively rare event as far as I know, and well, of course I can vote against that as well. So considering I have 120 votes for me against the 110 for the other 2 factions, of course they have their own influence as well, but yeah. We also succeeded in actually getting the minus 30% on the Fremen. Well, actually, no, that is actually applied to us. So we now have 30% less military power. That's not good. I was thinking we would win this, but apparently, yeah, everyone made sure that they used their power against us. So that's a little inconvenient. However, we are currently in the process of taking control over this spice field over here. And, well, to be honest, the smugglers were supposed to go and attack us, and they are doing that, but they're pulling in and out. And, well, honestly, they're just getting their own units destroyed by doing that. So those 4 missile batteries over there are really doing their job, and they should not have a problem defending for the moment, I believe. Now, One of my villages is under siege. Oh yeah, that's actually the one that we were just looking at. And apparently they're not too much in a hurry to actually defend this village. So that means we'll soon have another spice field to add to our own. Well, at this point, the real question is going to be not if we're going to win, but how we're going to win. I just took control over yet another spice field from the smugglers. They still have to, so they're not quite out of the game just yet, and they are resupplying the troops all the time. But all in all, yeah, I mean, we are producing so much spice, I don't even have to up my spice production or spice stockpile in order to make the quota. And yeah, as you can see, I have a ton of income from pretty much all sides now at the moment. Now, to be honest, the real question is going to be, are we going to win through Hegemony? Because I have 26k almost already, and we only need 30k in order to win. Or is that going to be beaten by the fact that in a few seconds, well, not a few seconds, but in about, what is it, 50 minutes or so? Less than 50 minutes, actually, we're going to also win the game through being the governor of Dune. So, I wasn't actually expecting to be able to get elected governor, but there we are. Meanwhile, what should we do? I mean, we could just launch a full offensive at the Harkonnen, just because we can. I mean, to be honest, why not? And well, like I said, why not? Bye-bye, Harkonnen. Boom! That makes this whole area a lot more clean, and well, let's just move all the way back out so we can defend against the smugglers who we still have left. Let's look at the time. We have 8 minutes left until we get a diplomatic victory. We are less than 3,000 away from getting a cultural victory. That's just what I'm going to call it. Yeah, let's see which one actually comes first. And with only moments to go until our victory, it's kind of up to us really how we win. Well, other than the fact that we are going to win through Hegemony, because we are about to hit 30,000. We are, to be honest, very close to getting the political victory as well, but only 3 minutes to go. And quite honestly, if I would just push for the headquarters, I would also be able to just destroy the lost headquarters now. It seems that the smugglers had some issues themselves. There were Sardaukar in their territory, so apparently they weren't able to get their spies under control quickly enough. But yeah, as you can see, we just got a victory with our indisputable hegemony. And yeah, I am very happy I won't have to pronounce this word anymore, because to be honest, I'm probably butchering it, but yeah. Remember, this was a hard difficulty game, and even though this last episode might have seemed like we were steamrolling it, quite honestly, we were still having to do quite a bit of work there. Especially a little bit more to the start of this episode where we were doing some combat. You would really have to micromanage your units and make sure that units that were on low, apparently the game is still going, that were on low health were actually able to keep up, and yeah, pull them out, pull new units in, make sure that those new units actually got to the final battle zone quickly enough, etc. So it's really a lot of running around and making sure we're actually getting everything in place quickly enough. And if you look to our zones now, making sure we were actually defending all over the place, especially the smugglers who are making our lives really hard, actually did take some effort. But yeah, we managed in the end. Now, to be honest, this game is really fun. It's challenging enough without being too difficult. The single campaign type of thing, I mean, I think there is actually going to be some sort of story campaign in this game at some point as well. Right now, it's just a randomized map where you can just basically do exactly what we just did, but there's already 4 factions in it, so it's quite a bit of content to enjoy. The factions do play quite differently. Let me know in the comments if you actually want to see another playthrough with one of the other factions, maybe taking a different approach to the game, something like the Atreides or something, and we will take a look at that. But for now, I really hope you enjoyed this one. Check out the game on Steam. Like I said, it's really fun, and I will catch you in the next one.